morning. Yep. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. We meet again. I'll be your moderator for this morning. I'm Magmuk, and we met last 2 weeks. You must be wondering, some of you who are just joining us, who are we? First of all, welcome everyone. Who are we? We are a small team of English language educators who have taken online courses, online professional English network, also known as Open. It once known as E-Teacher, which is funded by the U.S. Department of States via the U.S. Embassy Kuala Lumpur. We now get to call ourselves as E-Teacher Alumni, and if any of you, the alumni of this program out there, you may join us in the future. This webinar is fully sponsored by the U.S. Embassy Kuala Lumpur. Now, before we begin, I have few ground rules here for you. Yeah, we have ground rules here, so please listen carefully. It happens a lot. Rule number one: make sure your detail in the survey form are correct, especially when you type in your email address. In the past, many participants did not get their certificates due to incorrect emails. And current situation, some of you couldn't join us today for that you key in your email address wrongly. Second rules, you will get your e-certificate within a week after the webinar is over. This is not a rule, this is just a basic information so that you don't keep on asking for your e-certs. We will do our best to deliver your e-cert through your emails. The link to the survey and e-certificate form is only accessible for a short amount of time before it is deactivated. If you are watching this, make sure you fill in the form immediately after the webinar. Most importantly, the fourth one is that do not simply click on the unnecessary link that is being sent or shared in the Malaysia Open Alumni FB page, as we will not send any link while our presenter is presenting. Well, before I hand over the screen to you, let me introduce you to our speaker for today. He's our handsome fella there. Yeah, he is Hazwan bin Hamdan, often referred to as Cikgu Hazwan. Taught English in several secondary schools in Malaysia before he earned a spot in the prestigious Fulbright Teaching Excellence and Achievement TEA program at University of North Carolina, Wellington, USA in 2019. He spent 6 weeks attending academic classes at the institution while regularly visiting a local school for teaching experience. In 2017, he represented the U.S. Embassy Kuala Lumpur to attend Asia Pacific E-Teacher Conference at Philippines Normal University, Manila. Cikgu Hazwan also conducts online classroom for students from all over the nation through e-Didik Malaysia. Okay, before I pass the screen to him, we will first listen to a speech delivered by the head of Perak Tengah District Education Officer, who has been very supportive in making this webinar in reality. Cikgu Hazwan, the screen is yours and the coffee is mine.
Okay, thank you, Mac. So good morning, everyone. The coffee is yours now. The coffee is mine. The floor is also mine. So before we begin, let's listen to a speech from the head of Perak Tengah District Education Officer, Mr. Hadi Fazila. Okay, my apologies for the technical issue just now. We'll try to get back to the speech after this. So hello and good morning, everyone. So maybe we are going to put the speech towards the end of the session. So my apologies as now. There's a technical issue. Yeah, that's something that we have to bear with it whenever we have a session like this. Um, ladies and gentlemen, respected members of the House, respected participants from all over the world, good morning if you are watching from Malaysia. If you are watching from different part of the world, good afternoon, good evening. I'm sorry for the error just now, so let's just proceed with our thing for today, which is to make grammar memorable and exciting. Um, Again, before we begin, so I can see that a lot of participants today. You have from Nepal. So we have from Nepal over here. Namaste from Nepal. We have a lot of people from Malaysia over here. So good morning, everyone. So thank you for participating. Even though you missed the registration, no problem, because we still at the end of the session will show you the link to the webinar, the link to the e-certificate, and for Malaysian teachers, we are going to show you the link to your ESPL KPM. So no worry not. We are going to make sure that everybody will be entertained today. So okay. So I hope the okay. So everything sounds good. I hope everybody sounds good today. Um, so let me take a deep breath for a while because we have technical glitches. So let's begin. Okay. So good morning, everyone. Let's begin. So just now we are supposed to listen to a speech, but due to some technical issues, we cannot listen to it. So I do hope that okay, I do hope that everybody is good here. So just for the beginning, just say hi everyone to everyone on the Facebook chat. Write your name and where you come from. If you're from Malaysia, just say that I am who and from where, and I'll try my best to show some of the responses from all of you. Okay. So we have watching from LPMP DKR Jakarta, wonderful. Okay. So we are also having some from Philippines. Okay, good morning, watching from Philippines. So just say that where are you from, because we want to know from where are you from today. Okay. So okay, we also have from Kuala Lumpur. Okay, good morning from Kuala Lumpur. Okay, so we also have Chan from Malaysia. Okay, we have Siti Rohani Muhammad from Malaysia as well. And we have Jared from Philippines. Okay, we have Nur Hidayah Zainal from Malaysia, and a lot of participants from. Okay, we also have from Malacca. Um, we have okay. So there are a lot of responses here. Okay, that we can see. Okay, thank you everyone for being here with us today. Okay, okay, so let's move on. Thank you everyone, because we have people from all over the country. Okay, so to begin with, let's Let's wear your thinking helmet. Imagine that you have an imaginary helmet. Let's wear your thinking helmet and uh, wait, let's try to get rid of this. Okay. Okay, we have a riddle for you today, this morning. I shave every day, but my beard stays the same. What am I? So maybe you can start thinking for a while. I shave every day, but my beard stays the same. What am I? Okay. Okay. So for those who are watching, so do you know? Okay. Okay. So let's take a look at this thinking helmet. I shave every day, but my beard stays the same. What do you think the answer is? Okay, so the answer is, thank you for those who respond to it. The answer is a barber. Okay, so a barber, he shaves every day, but his beard stays the same. Okay, so even though he shave every day, he shave other people, so his beard stays the same. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so before we begin, just try to go to menti.com. Okay, you can enter this code and try to write what are your challenges in teaching grammar. Okay, what are some of our challenges in teaching grammar? Okay, so you can go to menti.com. Okay, enter the code 6968 and 51. Okay, and then write one response on what is the challenge when you are teaching grammar. If you have your QR code scanner, you can just scan this code, okay, and then try to respond to it. Okay, challenge in teaching grammar. Okay, okay. So again, for the first activity for today, just write, go to menti.com, okay, enter the code 696851. Okay, and then write down the challenge in teaching grammar, our challenge in teaching grammar, because it might be different from one another. Okay, and you have a QR code scanner, you can just go to, you can use your QR code scanner and scan the QR code. Okay, okay. So you can see that, okay, so you can see some words over here. Okay, so you can see the word rules. Okay, you can see confusing, challenging, um, grammar, difficult to understand, good. Make it fun for students. Inconsistent rules. Okay, it's complicated. Okay, application. So there are a lot of words over here. We are going to see some of your responses. Okay, um, grammar, students focus, difficult to understand, drill can be quite boring. Okay, students retention, uh, despicable, dynamic rules. Okay, good. Um, and we have a lot of responses. Okay, good. We'll give you maybe a few more seconds before we can just look. Okay, we can move on. Tenses always confusing. Okay, wonderful. Technical, students misbehavior. Okay, a lot of very good responses. I know all of you here are very good teachers. Okay, that's why you are here. You want to listen as well in order to improve some of our techniques in teaching grammar. Okay, okay, wonderful. So make it fun for the student. A student misbehavior. We have a lot of responses here, jargons, and so on. Okay, wonderful. So let's just move on. Okay, so thank you for those who are responding. You can still respond towards the end of the session. I'll be showing you again this the same word cloud, so they can see what are the things that challenge you in teaching grammar. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's move on. Okay, okay. Even though I'm going to present you some tips, but actually there are 3 tips before these tips. Okay, so the first thing when we are learning something new, I'm not teaching you, all of you here, dear participants, I'm not teaching you. For those who are watching this recording, I'm also not teaching. I'm just sharing something for all of you. Okay, so I hope that all of us here are open for new ideas, open to new ideas. Try something new doesn't mean that we have to stop doing what's already working. So if there's something that you have done in your classroom, you can just continue doing it, okay? Because that is already successful thing, okay? Instead of asking, will this event or will this activity work for your class? Try asking, how can I modify the activity to make it work for me and my kids? So I'll be sharing with you some activities. You might be asking, how is this relevant with my kids? But instead of asking that question, try to think of ways to adapt and adopt into your classroom. And remember that all of us here, teachers, educators, parents alike, we are the best resources of new ideas. So try to adapt and adopt activities done by our colleagues. For example, in school, if we have seen a teacher A did something good, so we can adapt and adopt uh, their activities to make it suitable with our kids. Okay, so I hope I'm not talking too fast because just now something happened, so I'm a bit nervous. Okay, so it's fine. Let's move on. Hello, hello, everyone. Hello from Sarawak. I can see hello from Ecuador. Good evening. It's very late right now from Ecuador, if I'm not mistaken. So thank you. So today's special. For the purpose of today's webinar, we are going to use the resources available on American English website. Okay, so for those who are not familiar with this website, this is the website where we can get a lot of free resources. Okay, for teachers, for students. If you are parents as well, you can use these free resources available on American English website. So for the sake of this particular webinar, I'll be using some materials from American English website so that all of us can benefit from this website in the long run. Okay. Okay, so wonderful. So the first thing that, the first tip, okay, that I want to share with all of you is we have to use reliable content and readings. It sounds big, but actually the reliable content and readings can be found a lot in the website or in the internet. Okay, a lot of people are sharing their materials, so we don't have to be too rigid about it. We want to use our own materials. We can try to use and adapt other people's materials to make it suitable for our kids. Okay. For example, I'm giving you this because we are focusing on teaching grammar. Okay. Just want to let you know that when we are teaching and when we are learning grammar, we should also remember that teaching grammar and teaching vocabulary come hand in hand. So when you are teaching grammar, you also need to make sure students are aware of some vocabularies available for that particular grammatical items. Okay, when we talk about adjective, they must know the adjective list. When we talk about verb, they must know what are the verbs and so on and so forth. Okay, So, uh, for example, okay, for teachers, okay, educators out there, I like to use pictures when teaching grammar to kids, and I don't like to introduce the rules first. Okay, for example, using this particular image, you can see LED TV. Okay, so this is not the question for students. This is question for all of the participants today. So, what grammar point do you think we are going to study using this particular um, image or picture? You can write the response on the Facebook chat if you want to. Okay. So, in your opinion, what grammar point are we going to study by using this particular image? This particular image can be found in one of the activities in American English website. So I'm not taking it somewhere else, taken directly from American English website. Okay. Uh, okay, so what do you think? What grammar point are we going to study by using this image? Okay. So some of you say that we are going to teach students about grammar and vocab. Okay, good. Okay, adjectives. Okay, wonderful. Adjective. Okay, good. So we have a lot of responses saying that we are going to teach. We are going to learn adjective using this image. Good. Okay, this is actually a question for you, not a question for students. Okay. So when we want to bring this image into the classroom, we have to start asking the questions. Okay, but what kind of questions that we need to ask the students? Okay, so just go with WH questions and make sure the questions are not the yes or no questions. Okay, because if we ask yes or no question, they will just stop at yes or no. Okay, so ask them to say something related to the image. For example, what can you see in the image? So after asking what can you see in the image, we will hear some responses such as student will mention about the price, the brand, the product, size, specifications, and etc. Okay, imagine that we are asking the yes or no question. If we ask yes or no question, is the price $399? The student will just respond yes or no, and then that's it. There's no continuation of the grammar learning. Okay. So try to ask WH questions. Try to ask WH questions so that we can uh, get more answers from the student. And then we have one response here from one suggestion here from a teacher. Cikgu Juliza, if I'm not mistaken, okay. When was the last time you watched TV? That's another good question. We try to relate to themselves. Actually, this tip is towards the end. We have another tip which is related to ourselves. Good one, okay. But for this particular tip, okay, we use reliable resources. Okay. And then after that, after we have shown the first picture, show another picture, because just now teachers say that participants you say that we are going to teach about adjectives, and then we put another picture so that they are going to compare the two LED TVs. Okay, so that means you know right now that we are going to teach them comparative adjective, but we didn't mention anything about comparative adjective since the first time we introduced them the picture, because some kids they prefer to learn grammar indirectly. Okay, instead of just entering the class and say today we are going to teach you comparative adjective, student will be shutting down their mind. So try to attract them by showing some pictures first, okay, so that they can think, they can compare, and they can use the vocabulary related to the particular grammar. Okay, avoid yes or no question. Ask question that they can answer. They can use the language. Okay, because there are some uh, important points on the picture there, in the image there. You have accent, sound, and so on. Okay, So this is the first thing that we are going to talk. Okay. Insert show picture number 2, and then we ask students some questions. Okay. And then next, after we have shown them the picture, then we can introduce the adjective and sample of sentences. Okay, this might not be, this can be done whether in one lesson or you want to extend it to one or two lessons. Okay, it's up to you because we know our students. Like I said earlier, once we learn about this, okay, we can just adapt and adopt to meet the suitability of our students. If we are teaching, if some of you are teaching advanced learners, you can just simply do this in one lesson. Okay, for those who are teaching maybe low intermediate level students or maybe students who are not familiar with the language, okay, so we can just add up to one or two lessons so that the students can learn better. Okay, and then in step 3, we introduce the adjective and sample of sentences. Okay, at the end we are showing the students adjectives and the sample of sentences so that they can compare. Okay, new tech LED TV is bigger in size than Compass LED TV. Okay, because they are using two information from two different images. Compass LED TV is cheaper than new tech LED TV. Okay, so that's how we do it. Okay, just show some pictures, make it familiar with the kids, let them study the image, and then be patient. Give students time to think. Okay, I know that we have planned a lot of lessons and we want the students to respond immediately. Just give them some time to think because our thinking time as a teacher compared to the thinking time of the students might be different. We can think in 1 minute, the students need to think of the word in their first language or in their native language, and then they have to translate it into another language, which is English, of course. Okay, so give them some time to think. Allow them to think. If they want to think with their friends, allow that to happen. Okay. Um, okay, why we want to show the students photos or images? Because what I hear I forget. I know all of you here, teachers, educators alike, you have heard of this before, sayings before. What I hear I forget, what I see I remember, what I do I understand. So if we just tell the students the rule, they might forget. If they see the images, they know how to compare. They will try to remember. And what I do, I will understand. What they are doing, the writing part, exploration of the language using exercises. Okay. Okay, we have one question. I'm teaching for beginners. Shall I teach comparative adjective before any? Okay, that's one good question. Um, this is very good question. Thank you for the person who is asking. Cannot detect where the question is from, but thank you for this wonderful question. If you are teaching beginners, shall I teach comparative adjective before any? This is just one suggestion. Okay. Um, but if you want to teach comparative adjective, you must know that you have to teach the adjective itself first, because sometimes the comparative word doesn't involve the adjective itself. Okay, you can start by using noun first and then verb first and then go to adjective because adjective describe the noun, and then we can, when students can see this link between adjective and noun, only then can we introduce the comparative adjective. Okay, so good question. But actually, there's no such rules which to be taught first. If you feel that this is better to be taught first, you can just go and make sure the students can get what you are teaching. Okay. Okay, let's move on. The second tip, okay, for today, uh, try to use board games when teaching grammar. Okay, how can you use board games? Okay, so what kind of board games that you know? Okay, maybe you know chess, checkers, and other board games, you have Monopoly and so on. Okay, but as for today, I'm going to explain to you one board games that is available on American English website. Okay, okay. Uh, the board games is called as a use a word. Okay, this can be found in American English website. Okay, use a word. It's a board games offer a board game actually offer interactive English language practice in a learner-centered environment because students are doing it instead of teachers tell them what to do. Okay, and learning grammar will be less stressful for students if we are using board game like this. Okay, the original version of this board game is actually use a word. Okay, so it provides students with a specific word uh, they should try to use in a sentence. Okay, so whenever they make a move, they stop at one word. So they have to try to use that word in a sentence. Okay, and we try to avoid the very common words such as big, small, ugly, and so on. Try to use words that students we feel students need to use. Okay, for example, in this example of board game, okay, you can see the word design, last year, okay, don't, last month, last weekend. So they are going to try to use the word. Okay, this is actually the original version is use a word. Okay, so when we want to teach grammar for the kids, try to change it into use a noun or maybe use an adjective. Okay, try to make it different for the kids. Okay, try to adapt it to meet the purpose of the to ensure that it is suitable for our students. Okay, if you are teaching adjective today, okay, and we divide them into groups, we give them a one board per group. Okay, and they are going to play the game use an adjective, and in every square there you can see an adjective and they have to use the adjective correctly. Okay, so it's going to be fun for the students. Okay, and student will try to use the word as the game goes on. Okay, that's the thing, we want the students to use the word. Okay, okay, for those who are wondering where you can get this board game, you can simply go to American English website. Okay, I give you the link there. You can simply explore and you can find other board games that are available for the students and for the teachers as well as for the parents if you want to make grammar lesson, grammar teaching memorable, exciting for your kids. Okay. Okay, or the because nowadays we are either teaching online, distant learning, or we are teaching offline. Some schools in Asia, including Malaysia, we are opening the school right now. So maybe you can just print the blank board game on a piece of paper, laminate it, and then write the word. You can just change the word every week so you don't have to produce more board every week. Okay, you can just put a blank one and write down or just put a sticker of the words and then voila, you can just use the board game every week without producing a new one. Okay, just giving you some suggestion. Okay, okay, so let's move on to the tip number 3. Okay. While waiting, before that, let's take a look. Is there any other new responses in our Menti? Okay, so good. Okay, you can still see some of you have responded. Okay, so these are our progress for now for our Menti. Okay, we are getting more responses. Good. So there are a lot of challenges in teaching grammar. Okay, I have to agree with you because it is indeed difficult. It is indeed challenging to teach grammar. Okay. Okay, so next thing is by using comic when teaching grammar because comic reading is not too heavy for the kids. Okay, It's not too, it can be considered less burden for the kids, okay? And they can produce on their own some comic. They can just produce on their own. You can make this as one of your activities in your classroom. Okay, it can be an individual presentation, it can be a group work presentation, or you can just adapt and adopt from what is already available in the internet or on a lot of websites. Okay, um, this one, okay, as you can see, this Zonk comic Zonk. Okay, so newspapers, magazines, books are useful in language class. Okay, but for some, they found the language in newspapers are a bit difficult for their kids. So teachers resort to use comics instead. So actually, this comic, if you can see on your screen now, Zonk is a comic produced by teachers and students in Peru. Okay, so so this is one way where we can use comics in the classroom, okay, and uh, focus on the grammatical items that we want to teach or we want to explain to the kid by using the comic. Okay, maybe the first page is going to be from the teacher, and then the second page will be from another student. Moving on until if you have 30 students in one class, we can have a 30 pages comic of one grammatical item, for example. Okay, if you don't want to do this for every grammatical item, it's fine. Maybe you want to use this for one particular grammatical item and then move on to another activity later. It's fine. Okay, so uh, comic actually motivates students to read, and at the same time students have can write stories based on their thoughts and imagination. We have to remember that kids, we have to remember that our students, regardless whether students are adults learners or young learners, they have all this imagination running in their mind. So try to entertain them. Okay, use their imagination and put this imagination into comic. Okay. Uh, One thing that we always afraid of when drawing in the classroom is that our drawings are not beautiful enough, or we find that our drawings is not entertaining. So we don't want to draw. Okay, once we decided not to draw in the class, students will also follow suit. So they don't want to draw as well because the teachers do not want to draw. Okay, so if you're afraid of drawing by hand, okay, drawing using your own hand, okay, so I would like to suggest that you use storyboard that. Okay, storyboard that has a lot of templates. You can just choose the template, you can choose your character, you can choose your setting, you can choose your uh, clothing and so on. So actually in storyboard that, I'm just promoting storyboard that so that teachers who don't want to draw on your own, okay, you can just use this online application and mix and match the characters available on storyboard that. Okay, and then make it, if you want to make it a 3-panel comic, you can just arrange it. Okay, and uh, show to the students that they also can do this even though they don't want to draw. They can just simply choose the template, okay, choose the characters, and then voila, you are now a comic artist. Okay, in storyboard there actually. Okay, okay. So okay, besides that, okay, we can also take uh, like I mentioned, the first tip, take the reliable resources. So this is one of the most established comic. If you like reading comics, so you must be familiar with this cat Garfield. Okay, so just a question. If you're looking at this particular comic strip, 3-panel comic strip, okay, uh, okay. 3-panel comic strip. What grammatical items can we teach students from this particular comic strip? What do you think? Okay, you can just respond in the Facebook chat. Okay. Remember, we are talking about grammatical items. So, what grammatical items do you think when you study this comic? What is the grammatical item that we can teach our students from this particular comic strip? Okay, so you see a pronoun and adjectives, adjective, superlative. Okay, good. Okay, okay. Pronouns, nouns. Okay, okay. So good. You can see a lot of responses. So if you can see the word you again, me again, normal, the words cutest, kitten, and the now stand aside, so I have people to charm. Okay. So correct. Okay, good job, everyone. So we are actually focusing on superlative adjectives. Okay. So how can we manipulate this comic and put it into our lesson? We have circled it. And then what's next? What's next for our students? Okay. So my suggestion is that, okay, even though we only have one particular uh, sentence in that particular comic, what we can use that in our lesson. For example, student will write down the sentence, Normal is the world's cutest kitten. Okay, maybe some of the teachers dislike using this apostrophe s, the possessive one. Okay, so they want to change the sentence into Normal is the cutest kitten in the world. Okay, so and then ask ourselves, what's next? So we can just ask the students, we can just guide the students to maybe change the noun in the beginning, the subject, and also the object. For example, from Normal, the cutest kitten in the world, they change to just take one word from their friend, maybe one name of their friend. Okay, Hazwan is the word in the something. Okay, so just give them blank. Okay, blank up. Just erase the name, the subject, and the object, and then just encourage the students to write the sentences. Okay, so that instead of we show them the rules first, okay, we show them some examples first so that they know, okay, this is superlative, okay, without explaining it first. After that, we can explain to them superlative is that when we are talking about the most of something, okay. uh, in and actually we can compare Normal and Garfield. Okay, Normal is cuter than Garfield, for example. Just now we learn about the comparative adjective. Okay, so we just get the students back to what they have already learned. Okay, teachers, educators, sometimes we forget that we forget to recap. Okay, so every time we introduce new things, try to relate it with the previous thing that we have already taught the students. Okay, for example, we taught them about superlative adjective. Try to relate with the comparative adjective that they have already learned beforehand. Okay. Good, wonderful. We see a lot of responses here. Okay, for those who are watching this as a recording. Okay, so welcome to the session. I hope that you can get a lot of benefit from this webinar. Okay, and for those who are watching live from all over the world, okay, welcome. We are already in our third tip. Okay, the tip number 3, which is we are still in tip number 3. Sorry, comic reading. Okay, just now we are using a comic available on American English. Next, we take Garfield, and now if you already can go to school, okay, you can just use this template, blank template, print it out for the students, and make them draw. Okay, print out this 3-panel comic and let the students explore the language by using comic. Okay, and then do not stop the creativity of the students. Okay, try not to stop the creativity of the students. Okay, Uh, Instead of, if the students still do not want to draw, for example, you give them another options. Give them other options by, for example, ask them to find images from magazines or from newspaper. Even though nowadays people don't really read newspapers, but I guess kids will still read magazines. um, you have a lot of magazines out there. They can just make sure they bought it first, then simply borrow from library and start cutting out and paste. Okay, so give them some old newspapers, old magazines. Ask them to just cut and paste on the three-panel comic, and then start writing it. Okay, so there are a lot actually things that we can do with grammar. Okay, so next. Um, just now we are talking about images, we talked about comic. Okay, let's take a look at this next step, which is teaching grammar communicatively. Okay, teaching grammar communicatively, I'm sure that all of you here are familiar with that. Okay, as I said earlier, the first three tips that I earlier mentioned to all of you, we have to open ourselves to learn new things. Okay, and try to adapt and adopt with the techniques. Maybe you have heard about this thing before, okay? But as I mentioned earlier, we are focusing for the sake of this webinar, we are using materials available on American English website. Okay, so teaching grammar communicatively here, I'll be using some materials from American English website. Okay, because as a alumni of United States Exchange Program, is actually I felt that it's my duty to promote this website as well because there are a lot of resources. Okay, okay. So next, okay. You know this thing already, okay, right? Encourage students to use the language in meaningful communications. Okay, so it must be meaningful and at the same time it is real for the kids. It is real for the kids. Okay. Okay. A communicative grammar lesson gives students opportunity to practice the target grammar. Okay. Communicative tasks should provide students opportunity to use language to communicate. So they are using the language to communicate with one another. Okay. So how can we make them communicate and at the same time learn grammar? Okay. So this must be something that has been boggling up our mind. How can we teach grammar at the same time we are making them communicate? So I'm giving you one activity. I'm sharing with you, all of you here, one activity that I found meaningful for the students and it can be related with their real life situation. Remember just now earlier in the session, one teacher suggested that we ask question, when was the last time you watched television? That was a good question because it's actually related to their real life situation. And that can be included in this tip, teach grammar communicatively. Okay. Okay. I want to share with you this game, this called as word strings. Okay. Word string is a game whereby we are going to make students expand the sentence, expand from one word to become a complete sentence. Okay. Expand one word to become complete sentence. Okay. So it's going to be, we are going to use pictures as well. Okay. Like what we have been doing from the beginning. Okay. Use pictures so that student can see the thing and they can imagine, use their imagination and try to relate with what is happening. And then at the end of the day, they can just write complete sentences or say out complete sentences. Okay. Okay, for example, we give them, the students, a picture of a baseball, okay, or a baseball player, a baseball, one word, right? Picture. So the first student will just say one word related with the picture. For example, baseball. Maybe in Malaysia we don't have baseball is not so famous, but as I mentioned earlier, this is coming from American English website. We try to adapt and adopt with our classroom situation. Okay, player one, baseball. Player 2 will say baseball player. Player 3 will add another one, the baseball player. Player 4 will say the tall baseball player. Okay. And then if the sentence is not complete yet, we can restart the turn. Okay, so student 1 can continue to continue until we can get a complete sentence. Okay, so from baseball we can get the baseball player hits hardly until or beyond the stadium, for example, or over the field, for example. So we can get a complete sentence at the end of the session, at the activity. Okay, and it doesn't mean that we can stop the students. We can make students. We can provide some time limit for the students. Okay, but the purpose of this activity is to make sure at the end of the day, we can use the grammatical item. For example, every group must come up with a sentence with an adjective and an adverb, for example. So at the end of the lesson, we are going to listen to every group. They must have these two criteria, adjective and adverb, for example. They're trying to add a that and a dot. Okay? Okay. So that's one. Very top. Word strings. Okay, from one sentence, one word becoming a complete sentence. Okay, we can use this in a math classroom, big classroom, lecture hall, and so on. Yeah, just give them one picture, make them sit in groups. I know nowadays we are under SOP. They can still sit in groups, but with a certain distance, fine. But still, we can apply this in our classroom. And can we do this offline, online as well? Yes, we can do this online. Okay. For example, there are some application that allows breakout session. So we allow students to go to breakout session and they practice their sentences there, and then come back to us and present the sentence. Okay. So that's how we can adapt and adopt in this current situation. I understand that it is difficult for some who are not familiar with distance learning. Okay, so breakout sessions in certain app is useful for all of us. Okay. Okay, so if you want to find this game, it is already there. You can just download it and print it out for your class. Okay, for your students. Okay, so if you can see that basketball over there, you can see football. I am sure that if we show the football or the soccer itself, student will have a lot of things to say. Okay, for those who are not familiar with tennis, they are going to have some time producing sentences using the word tennis, for example, or American football, for example. Okay, so worry not. We try to make students explore the language. Okay, so okay, if you can see on the next side, on the next box over here, you can see let's play, and there are some words. Okay, so that this is actually related with our next tip. Okay, the tip number 5, which is personalizing the content. Okay, personalizing the content, meaning to say that we try to make it near to the students. Okay, we try to relate with their real life situation. Okay, because not all students are facing the same difficulties, not all students are facing this same situation and condition. So try to personalize the content and entertain this. If students like to be entertained, students like to be acknowledged. Even us as adults, we like to be acknowledged and entertained. Okay, so moving on. If you can see that on these two sides of card, you can see the image just now: the volleyball, baseball, tennis ball, basketball, football, and soccer. Okay, and then there's another list of questions over here. Okay, so allow students to respond after we have completed the word string just now. Okay, I like to play football with my friends, for example. Done. So we can get 6 different sentences using the word that we want to, and then try to ask students some personal question, not some personal question, some personalized question. Okay, so they have 6 now. So ask them which sport or which game on the card do you play as a team, or which game do you like to play? So let them respond. Okay. As I said earlier in the beginning, avoid yes or no question, because if we ask too many yes or no questions, the response will stop there and then. Okay. Do you like football? Yes, no, that's it. Okay. So ask questions that allow students to think. Okay. How do you play football? How many teams in one basketball side, for example? How many students can play volleyball, for example? Okay. Which game or which sport can be played individually? So ask the WH question so that student will think. And if we find students do not know what to answer, for example, we can provide them with answers in the next lesson, for example. Okay, so wonderful. Okay, shall we move on? Okay. Why, if you can, you might be wondering why we are using photograph and images and try to relate with our pedagogy, okay? Our teaching and learning in the classroom. Okay. So why using photograph? Why using images? Okay, why not just allow students to imagine? Okay, because sometimes we enter the class and we start asking the students to enter the imaginary world. Okay, imagine that you have this. Imagine that you have this. Instead of just asking them to imagine, just bring a picture, bring a photo, just print out a simple image and show to them. Okay, so that they can relate. Because some students, remember that in our class there are a lot of students with a different background. Student A can be different from student B, so we try to entertain the need of all students. Okay, thank you. I can see that some have just come in. Okay, thank you. Uh, Good morning, everyone. For those who just coming in, okay. We are going to give you some feedback links and so on towards the end of the session. So worry not, just stay put. Okay. And also the e-certificate. Don't worry, we are going to give to you at the end of the session. So worry not, just stay put until the end of the session. We still have a lot more time to go. Okay. Besides that, using photograph and images, we can support understanding of a text. Okay. That's why sometimes students find it difficult to understand a text in an examination because there's no images at all. Okay, so try to give in the classroom, put as many images as possible so that they can use this image in their imagination when they are answering the exam later on. Okay, make it memorable. Okay, and stimulate critical thinking. How can you stimulate critical thinking? Okay, because student will explain what is shown in the photo and think of what is not shown in the photo. How can you explain what is not shown in the photo? Okay, so everyone, let's take a look at this image that I put here. Okay, so if you can see this image, okay, this is actually um, a national park. Sorry, a national park in the United States. One of the famous one, Yellowstone River. So this is the thing that students can see. So students can see a valley there, a river, magnificent view, and so on. And so next, what students can think, or how can we stimulate critical thinking when they are looking at this uh, image, for example? They can think about the person who is taking the picture. Who is he or who is she? Why is she standing there? What is she doing there, for example? Okay, or is she from a village nearby? Okay, so let students think, and then once they are able to think, they can get more vocabulary and try to write. They are going to write down the words from time to time, and at the end of the day, we can get a lot of new vocabularies. Okay, by just one particular picture, for example. Okay, uh, most of you for Malaysian teachers, you must be familiar with a circle map, the eye thinking map, for example. So use a picture, relate it with apply circle map, for example. So student will be writing a lot of vocabulary around that circle map that is related with the picture. And then we can highlight, for example, which vocabulary that we want to focus for today. Maybe one or two have written an adjective. So we can focus, we can tell them, okay, these words are adjective, and we are going to explain to you further about adjective. So try to make them think. Do not say that, oh, this is wrong, this is right. Instead of highlighting the right and the wrong part, appreciate each and every responses from the students. Okay, and highlight which one we want to focus for that particular day. Okay, there's one question. Roberto Illustrismo, which is really important in today's pandemic. A child learn grammatically correct or a child learn grammatically incorrect? That's one good question. But if you can just, if you have been with us since the beginning, we have never highlighted about the grammatically correct or grammatically incorrect part for the students. If they say something good, so we say that that's good. And if they are not good, we can just ask them, okay, for those who respond it wrongly, for example, you can learn from your friends. That is peer learning at the same time. So don't stop at just saying that this is no, this is wrong without doing something for the kids. Okay. Um, good question. Thank you. If you have any other questions, if you want to ask questions throughout this session, you can just ask questions. If I don't entertain the question, maybe I will entertain the question at the end of the session. Okay. So no problem. Okay. Besides explaining what is shown and think on what is not shown, it also provokes debate. Okay. Why I say provoke debate? Why we say it provoke debate among the students? Remember, a classroom debate is something that students like to do. Okay, really? I'm not sure. Maybe yes, maybe no. Because if we pinpoint to the kids, you say something, they will not say anything. But we ask them to do a classroom debate whereby everybody involved at the same time talking and so on, they will be very interested to do so. Okay, for example, from this picture, particular photo of Yellowstone National Park, what can you see? What can provoke debate? So maybe some student will say, this shows that it is well kept. Okay, maybe some students say that, of course, it's a national park and so on. So it provokes debate. Student will use words, use new words and so on. Okay, or you can just list down the adjective, for example, and then try to make them compare and contrast. Okay, good. Okay, okay. Okay, and by the way, if we are teaching students grammar, remember that we are not teaching grammar just to make them say something correctly, okay, or write something grammatically correct, because sometimes um, students need to explore the language throughout the time. It cannot happen in just in one night, okay, because Rome wasn't built in one day. So do learning grammar, okay. So they need to have a lot of practices throughout the time, okay. Okay, can we use, that's one good question from Cikgu N. Can we use this approach for special needs students? Okay, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning, my second tip, this the tip number two, which is try to adapt and adopt with our classroom setting. Okay, I don't have any special needs background, but what I can say is that we bog it down or tone it down according to our students' need, students' level. Okay, so for example, if we show this particular photo to our kids, okay, instead of just showing a photo, we can show them the word, and then at the same time we omit certain letter. For example, beautiful, the word beautiful, but we omit certain letters, so that student will fill in. So try to adapt and adopt. Okay, this is just one suggestion. Okay, I do not have the background of special needs students or special need education. Okay, but we can try to lower down or tone down the level of the activity so that it can be memorable and exciting for our own kids. Remember, we don't call them students, we call them our kids. Okay, so as long as it is good for our students, then it's going to be useful for our students. Okay, so another question from Mr. Cikgu Haziq Zuhair, Mr. Haziq Zuhair. In your opinion, which one is better, focusing more on the grammar or the skills first? Okay, so when it comes to learning language itself, okay, uh, we cannot simply isolate one skill and then start learning another skill and then start learning the skill. It should come hand in hand. Okay, I always believe as a teacher, when I'm teaching listening, it must be associated with speaking, because the more students listen, the more students be able to speak. Same like reading and writing. If students are able to read a lot, they will write better. But that is theoretically. Okay. Same like grammar and skills first. Which one to go first? Look at our own students. Which one do we want to focus first? Is the skills first? Are the students well equipped with the skill, the listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills, or we need to focus on the grammar first? Okay, remember that grammar uh, for 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 young learners, they are not aware of the grammar, so that sometimes they just be brave enough to use the language. But since we are adult, we have the tendency to be aware of the rules that sometimes hinder us from improving on our skills. Okay, so this goes back to all a lot of theories and so on. But in my own opinion, we just have to do it hand in hand. Okay, we cannot simply put this thing in isolation and then start uh, blaming grammar, for example, for not making students success. Okay, we have to make everything, blend everything, try to make sure that students can get grammar at the same time acquire the language skills. Okay, for example, in Malaysia, we have a lot of things to cover in English language subject. Okay, so not only the listening, speaking, reading, writing skill, we also need to teach them about values and so on. Okay, so uh, the final part is to make it fun. So there are a lot of fun things to do. Actually, the first 5 tips actually is considered fun if we make it fun for the kids. Okay, but there are also some things that we can make it fun by explaining or by giving them some offline games for the students. Okay, because nowadays people are thinking about uh, thinking about online learning using a lot of online tools and so on. Okay, so how can we make it fun for the kids? Okay, there are a lot of ways we can make fun, make grammar learning fun for the kids, grammar teaching fun for the kids. Okay, and I would like to share with you one fun activity that we can do in the classroom. Okay, okay. There is before I entertain to this tip, there's one question. Can we apply the same technique to teach grammar to adult learners at higher education institution? Okay, so Same thing actually, whenever we have a grammar lesson, it can be applied to all level of students. But remember that we have this, how we can scaffold the activity so that it is suitable for our students. Okay, some adult learners, okay, in the university or in higher learning institutions, okay, they are also weak in grammar, for example. So we can go down to basic activities first, make them familiar, and then start the I+1 thing. Start small, take step by step so that they can acquire these grammatical items. Okay, and for adult learners, they might prefer to use diagrams, okay, to show the rules instead of just writing on the whiteboard or on the presentation. Show them some diagrams so they can see this is noun, this is verb, this is adjective, for example. Okay, okay, okay. And let's take a look at this one. Make it fun. Okay, so all of you, you are familiar with Microsoft Words, right? And you have these fonts that you don't want or you don't know how to use it, which is called wingdings, webdings, and so on. The symbols one. Okay. This is actually one good way of explaining or showing the list to the student. For example, we want to show them a verb list or adverb list, adjective list, and so on. Okay. So we have this list. Sometimes we just print out the list and then we ask the students to remember. Okay, and most of the time they can remember, but that is just giving them to remember. They are going to read and then remember. But now try to use this unused fonts in the Microsoft Words and try to make it as one of your grammar lesson activity. Okay, for example, you can see that there's the A symbol, B symbol, C symbol, Z symbol. Okay, we can print this out, put on paper, and then we show them another set of symbols. Okay, another set of symbols. So, what do you think? There are the first word has 4 letters, for example, from these symbols. Second word has 3 letters, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, and last one have 5 letters. Okay, so student will be using the guideline given, the wingding character list, and try to decode the message, and then they can see what the teacher is trying to tell them or to share with them. Okay, uh, my suggestion is that we want the students to explore the language at the same time having fun in the classroom, not only getting a printed paper from the teacher and then start memorizing. Okay, so can you guess the words? If you have your Microsoft Word right now, you can open it for a while and try to take a look. What is the word actually? Okay, okay. So the word actually, the first word is cute. Okay, so if the students try to mix and match the symbol with letters, they can finally find the word cute, big, and small. So instead of just printing out the materials for the kid, student can decode the message first. And then they can find, oh, these are the things that the teacher wants to share with us. Okay. 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 So that's all actually for the 6 tips that we have today. Okay, we are make it fun, not making fun of the kids. Make it fun for the kids. Okay, we have a lot of basic tools to be used in the classroom. Okay, not only online tool, we can use offline like this one. You can just use Microsoft Words and start printing for the kids. Okay, um, we also have comic reading. We also have photos and images to be used in the classroom, personalizing the content, and a word string, which is a game, and also another one board game. So there are six things that I try my best to share with all of you. Okay, so I hope that all of you can benefit from this session. Okay, we still have a few more times to go, a few more minutes to go. So allow me to share with some of you. This is the interface of the American English website. Okay, so for those who are not, excuse me, for those who are not familiar with this website, this is americanenglish.state.gov. Okay, and you can just click on the resource part. You can get a lot of resources for the teachers. Okay, and if you can see over here, you have English Teaching Forum. There's magazine for the teachers, a lot of resources over there, and good articles and materials for the teachers. Okay. Um, Besides American English websites, I also would like to invite teachers, educators from all over the world to join us to be part of American English family. Okay, so you have a lot. If you go to American English website, you can also join some webinars available on American English website. You can just click on the webinar, and then you can sign up for the webinar organized by American English. The one that we are doing is under Malaysian Open Alumni, but American English is our big umbrella for us. Okay, they have a lot of good materials, a lot of past webinars that you can watch at the same time. Okay, and then just want to share with you some of the online materials that we can use during this pandemic session. I know that some of you would like to go travel abroad to Yellowstone National Park, for example. They are offering virtual tours. So you can just go to their website and start exploring the national park with your students. Watch animals live on the aquarium. Okay, and also if you want to go to Disneyland, okay, virtually, you can just go and take a virtual Disney ride. Okay, we'll be sharing this link as well after this. The recording of this session will be available on our Facebook. So for those who are watching this recording, you can just you are all welcome to use all the materials given. And for those who are watching with us live, you can just go back to this recording and then start using all the materials. Okay. Um, okay. Just now is the challenges in teaching grammar. Can we just take a look again? What happened to our Mentimeter? Okay, so good. There are a lot of words there that we can see. Challenges in teaching grammar, use wrong grammar, students not get it, complicated, and so on. Non-native speakers, yes, most of our students are non-native speakers, so it's kind of difficult. There are L1 interference, so we just need to make sure that we do not really use L1 in our classroom. If we really need to use L1, for example, to explain, to elaborate further, to make students understand better, yes, please don't hesitate to use your L1. Okay. Uh, okay. Okay. So I guess um, I'm calling back Matt to the stream. Maybe there are some questions.
Hi, Hazwan. Question here. How can we manage motivate the vocabulary skills among our learners during this time of pandemic? The first question. I let you answer that before I ask you further question.
Okay, can you repeat the question, Mike?
The question: how can we manage or motivate the vocabulary skills among our learners this time of pandemic during this period of time?
Okay, thank you. So the question is regarding how to motivate the students when teaching vocabulary at the same time in teaching grammar. Okay. Um, so in my opinion, this is just what I would like to encourage is try to simplify the lesson because distant learning, online learning is not only unfamiliar for us, also for some students. So try to simplify the activity so that student will be motivated to learn. Okay, for example, we can just start bringing them for a virtual tour and start asking questions. For example, what kind of fish that you can see or what kind of animal you can see in the virtual tour, for example. So try to make them feel excited by showing some pictures and encourage them to use the language and try not to put a lot of exercises for students because during this distant learning they are not only learning about language, they're also learning other subjects. Okay, so try to make sure that students feel excited at the same time and feel motivated to learn. Okay.
Mm, yeah, and make them feel comfortable as well to learn, right?
Yes, feel
Yeah,
comfortable.
yeah. Next question, Diego Hazwan. How to motivate students who think grammar is difficult because of past experience? Wow, it hits me in the head. How to, again, another,
So the idea of saying, yeah, this is a very good question because motivating students is something that we need to do. Okay, and students find it difficult because they all already have this filter once we tell them we are teaching grammar. Okay, so the affective filter is up, so they don't want to learn anymore. So what we are supposed to do is to motivate them and trying to lower down this filter so that they are very excited to learn. Okay.
uh-huh, right.
One way that I can suggest is that try not to say no most of the time. Try to acknowledge the responses. Try to appreciate what they can, their answers, for example. Yeah.
Hmm. Right. Um, Next question. How can we make learners have fun using the online modality of teaching?
Online. Okay.
Hmm. Online, our
Alright.
current
So,
situation.
like I mentioned earlier, if you are using, I'm just sharing with you, if you're using Zoom, for example, or maybe Google Meet, where they are supporting these breakout sessions, so we can use breakout sessions to let students do group work. Okay, because we are thinking that in distant learning or in online learning, students cannot do small group work. Okay, but actually with some new features available online, we can assign students to do group works uh, in the breakout sessions. Okay, so I
Yeah.
hope that can motivate students to learn more. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Next question, Hazwan. What is the best section in our lesson plan to insert the games or picture? Is it in the pre-activity? That question from Jack.
Okay. Good question. Jack. Okay, good question from Jack. Um, in my opinion, there's no best part where we can put pictures, games in the lesson because if you want to make the game as an uh, enrichment activity, for example, enrichment activity, it can be done towards the end of the session. Well, we can also use the pictures as a pre-activity, show the
Mm.
students. So actually, it can be inserted in any section of the lesson. Okay, but
Yeah.
we must make sure that students can benefit from the pictures. It's not just we show the pictures and then students not respond. Okay, or we ask
Mhm.
them to play the game. It doesn't enrich their understanding about the grammar. Okay.
Right. We have 2 minutes, and this I think this will be our last question live. The rest of the questions, Cikgu Hazwan will answer your questions, but not during the live session. This is from Chandra Mohan. Do you think teaching grammar integratively is more effective than teaching in isolation?
Okay, this is good. This is
Mhm.
actually a very good question because either teaching in isolation or teaching integratively.
Yeah.
My belief is that we have to teach integratively, but in order, if we choose to explain the rules first, so we can go for isolation, teach grammar in isolation, explain to them the grammar rules, and then go to integrative grammar lesson. They do not stop at isolation, and then students do not get cannot see the relationship between grammar and also other skills. So try to, if you want to use isolation, yeah, I start with teaching in isolation, explaining the rules sometimes, and then start using integrative grammar lessons so that students can relate with other skills. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Cikgu Hazwan, do you think you
Okay.
can play the opening speech video for the viewers before we end our session? Do you think that
I
is
will try
possible?
to, but I hope that it can run. Okay, so um, stop for a while the screen,
Okay, so
and then
while Cikgu Hazwan is navigating his screen, let me remind you of few things that I've mentioned earlier on. Later on, when we share the link of the survey to you, make sure you fill in your details, especially your email address, correctly. Otherwise, you'll be banging here and there, saying, sending message to us, telling us that you did not receive your e-certificate. So when you type in your email address, make sure you double check, triple check, frequently check your email address. Okay. The other thing is that you will not receive your e-certificate straight away. Give us some times to generate your e-certificate, at least a week. Yeah, at least a week. Give our crew time to generate. It's not only one certificate, but we have thousands of e-certificate. So, Cikgu Hazwan, are you ready?
okay, I guess we have a problem with the video, so we might not be able to share with you the video, but we'll try to include that in our recording later, maybe on our Facebook as well. We'll put
Yeah.
that on our Facebook page so that everybody
Mhm.
knows what our district election office are talking. Okay,
Right.
so I will share with you the first link, which is for Malaysian teachers. Okay, for Malaysian teachers, or teachers who are from Malaysia, this is the link for your ESPL KPM. This will be open for an hour only. So please make sure you scan the QR code now or copy the link. Okay, if you have your phone right now with you, do a screenshot and then you can just fill in the form starting from now until an hour later. We'll open the link. Okay. Okay, I hope we can get this. And then next one for everybody, this is the survey form and e-certificate link. Please fill in your email address correctly, okay, or else you might not be able to receive your email, your certificate. So fill in the survey form. There's also a link to the e-certificate directly. So make sure you fill in your name, your email address correctly. Okay. Okay,
Right.
Matt. Do we need
Yes.
to? Yes.
Yeah, seems like we have taken 2 minutes of the 1 hour and 30 minutes session. We would like to thank, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, we would like to thank Cikgu Hazwan for this interesting grammar session. And hope viewers out there remember to write your email address correctly, making grammar memorable and exciting. We do hope that you learn a lot from this session. And I agree with what Cikgu Hazwan said earlier on. As the American Exchange Program alumni, we do, it's our duty to promote the American English program and the open program that they are offering now. Do check their website for the AE website and the open online courses. Okay, so I guess that's all from us from the Open Alumni. Yep. Thank you very much for spending 1 hour and 30 minutes with us. Hope to meet you some other time. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye. Good
Bye.
day. Have a great weekend.